All right, and then we are going to go live on Facebook, so just give me a minute with that. And
Okay.
so I have to do this little thing where do it on a page and let me type in Yahweh. Oops. And there we go, and there we go. And we are going to go live. I got it.
Oh,
And we should be, oh, let's just wait a minute. I'm still seeing it going.
is there a way for me to share this?
No, you could share it after we do the video. How's that?
Okay.
Okay, so we are looking like we are live on Facebook. So hi, everybody. We're so excited to be together tonight. My name is Joe Massaro, as I'm sure you know, with Yahweh Sisterhood Book Club and Joe Massaro Ministries. So excited tonight because we have Greta Picklesimer.
Picklesimer.
Simer, okay. Picklesimer, okay. I knew I was going to mess it up even though I asked, but it's okay. I bet you hear that a lot.
Yes, I do.
Yes.
That's all right. That's all right.
Okay, so Greta's book, as you can see, is right by me right there. It is an incredible book. And I will tell you, Second Chance at Happiness, what a wonderful story it is. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. But first, we're going to get to know Greta first. So let me just read a little bit about Greta, and then we can get started here. So Greta is Michigan born and raised by Kentucky transplanted parents. I love this part. She accepted Jesus as her savior at the age of 5, a happy day in her memory. Besides writing, Greta spends time working on her art journal, painting with watercolors and oil pastels. She is owned by one rescue cat by the name of Pearly Blue, who was named after her favorite bluegrass song. By day, Greta works as an office assistant. By night, she writes, and boy, was she writing the other night. And you can reach Greta, and we'll post up all that information for you with her website. So happy to have you with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Joe. I'm glad to be here.
Now, what everybody may not know, Greta was at an ACFW meeting, and you can explain that. And I was going to be there, so I would have met her in person last week, but my husband had surgery on Friday, so I couldn't be there. So maybe just share a little bit first about the meeting and what happened with you there.
Okay. So I drove down from Michigan to Kokomo, Indiana, to attend the ACFW, the American Christian Fiction Writers.
And we are both part of that organization.
Yes, chapter, Indiana chapter,
Yep.
For a conference where we shared our what's called a blurb about our book.
Mhm.
And I was sharing about the third book in the series that I'm writing. So
Wow.
that's where the 8,000 words,
Came in.
that's how far I've gotten so far on that book. And we also shared our first page of the book
Mhm.
and had a panel discuss it and to see what they liked or didn't like about it, what could change. So it was a very productive day. It was a long day, but it was productive.
Yeah, it's definitely a long one. I was going to drive with my friend Kim Autry, and she's just a wonderful woman that I love so much and a dear friend. So let me just ask you about this. Tell us about Pearly Blue.
Oh, Pearly Blue. She's what I call my COVID kitty, because I wanted to foster a cat during COVID when it first started back in March of 2020. Goodness.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And so called the local humane society and asked for their oldest cat. And they had this cat that was named something different But I went in, met her, and she just didn't want anything to do with me. And I thought, oh, this cat doesn't like me. But they said, she really is a loving cat if you just give her a chance. So I
Let's
was
give
like,
her a
okay,
chance.
yeah. So I gave her a chance, and she is just so loving. She's a wonderful cat. She's a wonderful little companion. And I named her Pearly Blue after a bluegrass song that my father liked. And you can find the lyrics online, I'm sure. But she's a brown tiger.
Brown tiger. Well, we're kind of hoping maybe she'll jump up. You never know. We always like to see little animals jump up. So I was sharing with you that my mom's name is Pearl. So when I saw that, I was like, so now I have to listen to the song, and I will definitely do that. So one of the things you talked about was that you remember giving your life to Jesus at the age of 5.
Right.
Well, can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. So I had always gone to church. My mother always took us kids to church. There are 5 of us, but we're spread out in age.
Mhm.
And so it was me and my older sister that she would take to church. Dad at that time was not a Christian and did not go with us.
Mhm.
He later gave his life to the Lord, thankfully, before he died. But so I had always heard the salvation story that if you give your life to Christ, if you accept Jesus into your heart, that when you die, you can go to heaven, and that, God has wonderful things here on earth for you in the meantime.
Mhm.
So one day, it was a beautiful spring day, and I was playing in my parents' bedroom, and I thought, I've never given my heart to Jesus, and I want Jesus to come live in my heart. So I asked Jesus to come live in my heart and be with me and take me to heaven when I die.
Wow.
And so, yeah.
I just
So,
love that.
yeah.
Absolutely love it. Um, and you were young. Oh my goodness. So your
Yes.
faith has obviously impacted your life from the time you were very young.
Yes. Yes. I've had some bumpy roads, and not everything has gone as planned, but still the Lord is with me, and I'm so thankful that God is with me. And um, every day I'm living my life um, for Him and to the best of my ability,
Mhm.
relying on Him and His Holy Spirit.
One of the things I always say is, I'm getting a little feedback here, I thought, is that, life is not always easy, as you say. There have been many, I call them detours in my life. I think of Joseph in the Old Testament and all the detours that happened to him, from
Oh, yeah.
going in a pit and then being sold into slavery, becoming a prisoner, and then look what happened to him and all that happened to him, and saving so many people, his family and everybody, and becoming right under the Pharaoh. So detours are not always fun, are they?
No,
No,
no, not at all.
no, but God has a plan. And
Yes.
he
Oh,
is in the
yes.
midst of those detours that we go through. So,
Yes.
and I'm so grateful for that because I've been in a lot of detours. Okay, so how old were you when I always like this question, how old were you when you started writing? Because some people started writing from the time they were very young. That's not me at all. So I'm always interested to know how you got started.
Okay. So I got started writing when I was 8 years old.
Oh,
I wrote plays, and they were terrible, just terrible. Um, they were very short one-act plays, about 3 pages long each, with big handwriting. And so from that, I just, my sister was a writer, and well, she's still a writer, Sandra Aldridge. She wrote a story for a regional magazine, and brought the magazine over for my parents to look at, and they praised her up one side and down the other. And I thought, I want to write. And so I started writing these little plays that were terrible, and blossomed from there. So
That's
yeah.
amazing. That is really amazing. So give us a little bit of a snippet about your writing journey, because you started young. For myself, I never thought of writing when I was young. It was like not even on my radar. So how has that journey progressed to help you to get to where you are today?
Well, let's see. I worked on the student newspaper in college. I, as a reporter, and uh, I grew as a writer. The more I wrote, the more I read, the better my writing became. And so I also studied photojournalism in college, got an independent interdisciplinary degree in photojournalism, which was photography and journalism put together. I worked as a freelance writer and photographer for several small newspapers here in Michigan, southern Michigan, and just kept writing. I journal, not on a daily basis, but I keep a journal of thoughts. I also journal online. And so when I was in 2016, I read a book that was a romance. And after reading the book, I said to myself, I bet I could write something this bad. And so, and so I did. So, my first foray into writing romance was a novella, and I had no clue what I was doing. It was a fun story to write. It only took me a few weeks to write it, and it my mother loved it, but there were some major problems with it, so it's not going to see the light of day. But after that, I wanted to write a novel for the National Novel Writing Month, which is November. And so I started Second Chance at Happiness for the next year for that time. And it took me, I didn't finish it in the month, but it took me a month and a half to finish Second Chance at Happiness, the first draft. So, and then it was a couple of years of editing on my part. I participated in what was on Twitter called Faith Pitch, where you can pitch your book.
It's your book. Yep.
Yep, in 2 to 3 sentences. You know, tell what your book is about in 2 to 3 sentences. So I did that, and Ambassador International Publishing House saw the pitch, liked it, and then requested that I send them the first 3 chapters of Second Chance at Happiness and the last chapter. I received that. It was like a couple of weeks. They requested the full manuscript. I sent it to them. And then a couple of weeks later, I received an email from them. And I thought, uh-oh, here it comes, another rejection. And they said, we're pleased to offer you a contract. And I was like, oh my goodness, this is wonderful. So
yeah, it is writing is definitely a journey, is it not? I know for myself, my children's historical fiction book will be out for the holidays, the first part, and it's a series. And I have to tell you, it is nothing like I started out with. And it was, when I look back at that, I was like, oh my gosh, that is like nothing that I would write today. But it's a journey, is it not? And we learn and we grow. And rejection is actually, and sometimes you think, oh, it's a terrible thing, but it really helps us. It helps us in critiquing as well, putting our stuff out there and having people, read it. I'm president of Word Weavers here in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and we have a great online group. And they have helped me so incredible with my writing and critiquing. And I just love it. And so what is your, I'm presuming you like this genre of writing. So is this your favorite? Yes.
yes, inspirational historical romance. Yes.
Okay. Maybe you could, before we talk about the book, you mentioned your mom, who believed that you could get a book published, correct?
Yes. Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about that story, and then we'll get into your book.
She always told me as I was growing up that whatever you set your mind to, you can do. And so that was her mantra for me, that set your mind to it, you can do it. And she never saw this book published. She died, let's see, she died a year before I received the contract. And so she never saw that her dream for me, my dream of being published, fulfilled. So, which that's very sad. But she believed in me.
She believed in me, which is
Yes.
really awesome. So tell us about the time frame of your book and why you wrote it at this time, in that time frame, and a little bit about the story, if you could.
Okay. I like 1870s because it's right after the Civil War. There's a lot of upheaval. There are a lot of things that are happening in the world, in the United States. So when I started writing this book, I wanted it to be set in 1870. And I wanted a school teacher and a preacher to get together. And so throughout the course of the book, they run into all sorts of trouble in trying to get together. It also it deals with racism in the South. It's set in Kentucky, and in 1870, it deals with ex-slaves and their children wanting to go to school, but there's no school for them to attend. So the teacher allows them to come to school, and it really splits the community. So because Kentucky was split during the Civil War, some were for the South, some were for the North.
Yes.
And so that's brought out in the book.
Okay. Yeah, I love how you did it as well. What is there anything else you want to share about the book? Because we obviously don't want to give away the story. We really would like you to to purchase this book. It's really a wonderful, wonderful book. By the way, you're a really wonderful writer. I have to say
Thank
that.
you.
And I couldn't put it down when I was reading it. So
Oh,
I
wonderful.
truly, truly enjoyed it. So is this the first book that this is the first book that's been published?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
So I have the novella, which isn't going to see the light of day. And this is my first attempt at a novel
mhm,
length.
yeah.
So
Okay. So what advice would you give to somebody? I always like this question too, because I know what it was like when I first started. I felt so inadequate. I still feel inadequate at times. But for somebody who's like, gee, I have a story in me, or maybe I've written something already. What advice could you give to somebody like that?
one of the things that has helped me reach this goal of publication is I got involved in several writers groups
Mhm,
and local writers groups, um, where they encourage their members to work toward getting published, to work toward finishing their work.
mhm,
So getting involved in local writers groups, starting your own writers group at the local library,
yep.
anything that you can do to encourage yourself in the process of writing, attending conferences,
Mhm,
um, local writers groups um, that I belong to bring in special speakers
mhm,
to talk about the writing process. We have, in one writers group, we have what's called write-ins, and where we come on Zoom, we at the top of the hour, we tell what we want to accomplish in that hour, whether it's editing, whether it's writing. I'd like to write 500 words in the next hour. Okay. And then we turn off our microphones and turn off our cameras and write. And then at the next top of the hour, we come back and tell what we did.
wow.
So the accountability keeps me writing.
I love that. One of the biggest things I would say is I love that accountability part. Um, for someone who is doing what we do. And I have to tell you that I have the network that has happened since I first started has been absolutely incredible. The people that you meet, I mean, just the opportunities. I've been on a lot of like virtual type things since COVID, obviously, and still doing some of that and still looking forward to being face to face with people. But actually, I'll share my website later, but on there are all kinds of resources, conferences, which I love. I will tell you the first time I went to a conference was when I went up to Michigan to Grand Rapids. I went to Carol Kent's Speak Up conference, and
Oh,
I went by myself. It was the very first conference. I was scared, so nervous, and I was a wreck. And I go in, and right there were Carol and Jean Kent. I was there the day before, and everybody were putting these binders together. And I ended up helping and getting to know them. And it's just wonderful. People are so incredibly giving of
yeah.
themselves and of the work that they've done, and how can I help you? And the networking, like I was saying, is just so incredible. I just love that. I have never seen a group of people as the people that I have met, as writers, as authors, as conference people, as whatever it may be, that are just so giving of their time and their talents. And I think that's one of the great things about this as well is, we're not in it alone, but what can we
Right.
give back as well to people? And I find it just amazing.
Yes. Yes.
So
Good.
if beyond your mom, I guess obviously your mom and your sister have been a great influence in your life. Is there anyone, whether they're living or, alive, that do you think has influenced you in what you do or in your life period?
Well, the Lord,
Yep.
um,
Yes.
the Lord has influenced me. Just His mercies are new every morning.
Mm,
Thank you, Lord.
yes.
Um, so just wanting to write to express His love and His forgiveness
Mm,
for us.
yes.
That no matter what the mistakes are, He's still there. He still loves you, and He still accepts you. So um, all we need to do is turn back to Him.
Amen.
So
Amen. I just love that. Yeah, I know in my own life, I wasn't saved when I was young like you. I was in my 30s and a rocky road to get me to that point. And I just know this, that I feel like I don't know where my life would be today if I did not have Jesus in it, because I think I would have taken a whole different detour in my life.
yeah,
And I'm so grateful to God because we do, he's done so much for us, and we strive. I know you've said this, we strive to live each day for him.
mhm,
And what a blessing it is to have that, because it's changed my life tremendously. I used to live in a lot of fear and depression and all of these things even as a child. I would say depression was there for me, and to grow up into that, and then to recognize who I am in Christ. And
yes,
and it doesn't mean that there's not all those detours that we were talking about earlier, but he is with us in those detours. And I'm so grateful, just so grateful for it.
yes.
Um, so what are you reading right now? Besides, I know you're busy typing and doing all those things, but is there anything special you're reading?
Uh, Besides the Bible, no.
Okay,
Um,
really
just
busy.
because I'm writing, so I'll have times when I'm not writing where I might pick up a book and read a chapter or two, but usually it's nonfiction and it's about the craft of writing.
Mhm.
So um, I'm I'm not reading anything for pleasure right now.
Yeah.
So
So that reminds me, on my website, which is joemasaroministries.com, there's a full resource page. There are books there. I just started to put in some podcasts. There are all kinds of resources. If
oh
you are interested in learning more about the craft of writing, I just encourage you to jump in, get whatever you can, and connect. Believe me, connect with your local library. Like you were saying, if you don't know of anybody who has a writers group, I guarantee you they probably have one, and if not, they're probably interested in starting one. um, okay, so what is there anything that I know that there's been some funny things in my experience as a writer? um, is there anything that you feel uh, is kind of a funny experience that you've had? I know I've had to laugh at myself a lot of times. Anything like that that's happened to you, or what's on your bucket list of things?
um, I can't think of anything funny that has happened recently or not recently.
Okay.
Um, as far as my bucket list, getting this book published was on my bucket list.
Mhm.
So then, now that I've accomplished that, it's I'm doing a sequel to it, which is at the publishers right now. I haven't gotten the edits back on it, but it's called The Rejected Mail Order Bride.
Mhm.
And so it has to do with rejection and mistakes and how the Lord is there through it.
Okay, that sounds really
Um,
good.
so getting more books published, I guess, would be on my bucket list.
Okay. All right, that sounds good. So we know kind of where you're going with your writing. So if people want to connect with you, first of all, we know your book is on Amazon, so they can connect there to get it. Anything else? Tell us about your website. What can people find on there and how they can connect with you?
Okay. You can follow me on Amazon, and there's a picture of my favorite picture of me and Pearly Blue together on my, when you go to Second Chance at Happiness, type in my name or search for it by my name. It'll come up and you can follow me and Pearly Blue on Amazon. As far as my website goes, it's www.gretapicklesimer.com. And I talk a little bit about the book. I talk a little bit about my writing process. I believe I talk about the next book in the series. You can also connect with me on Facebook. I update that more regularly than my website. It's Greta Picklesimer, Christian author.
Okay.
And so you can find out what's happening there also.
Well, I see a couple of comments from Kim, who you met. She says, I agree, wonderful writer, wonderful book. Oh, a sequel, looking forward to reading it. So thank you for that, Kim. Yeah, so we just, again, I was so sorry that I didn't meet you, but I'm so glad that we connected. And anything else you want to say about the book, that people might have a little bit more information on?
Okay. It's a wonderful love story between two former friends, former love interests, who were separated by years and two spouses. Their spouses have since died, and in order to provide for her family, she comes home and becomes the local school teacher under the eye of the board, which the preacher is on. So
it's a fascinating journey from where it starts out. I always look to see, where it starts out, and it starts out very interesting and very quick. You get what's happening, and then that story evolves. We talked about the racism that is going on as well at the time. And I was hoping Pearly Blue would pop up, but I haven't.
Oh, yeah. No, she's not even in the
She's
room.
not even she could care less. She's famous. She goes, I'm famous anyway, so it doesn't matter whether I show up or not. All right. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Please make sure you get the book and get onto her website, and make sure that you follow what's happening with her, and you'll get to hear more about what she's writing. And Greta, it's been an honor to meet you face to face, kind of now.
Yes.
And,
thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate being here.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.
And we'll have to have you back for the next book. How's that?
Oh, that sounds wonderful.
Okay, good.
Okay.
You just keep me updated and we will work it all out.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right. And thank you so much. God bless you. And everybody, thank you. Make sure you check out Greta's webpage. Again, joemassaroministries.com, where you can find all kinds of information. You can also have all the links to a lot of the videos that I have done over the years. Oh my goodness. And there's so many that aren't even on video. So I'm excited. Go check it out. And thank you, everybody, and have a blessed night.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.